Today's discussion will be all about emotional intelligence and why it matters in romantic relationships and how we can use them to strengthen our partnerships, how to increase more intimacy in relationships, to be connected with our partners, and to build a love that may last. Okay, so emotional intelligence, and the acronym is IQ. It's not IQ, but EQ. Okay, it quite impacts relationships, right? And it's a good trait to have, emotional intelligence, because it's one of the secrets of how intimate relationships can last, because it can make us extremely aware of the changes, whether that can be large or small, that are constantly occurring in ourselves and others. Okay, by building your emotional intelligence, you are able to have more sensitivity and understand what each of the partners are seeking. You can automatically sense, through active awareness and empathy, and those little shifts will be the dynamics that may signal to you what needs to happen to take some action. Okay, we all have the potential to receive, let's say, to attain the kind of love that we all dream of. Okay, we can have deep intimacy within the relationships. There can be mutual kindness. There can be a real commitment and a real caring of one another. And this happens due to empathy that we can all have. And that is the ability to be able to share emotions, okay? But to reach the height of this, we need to develop our skills of EQ, so emotional intelligence. Okay, but if we're not developing emotional intelligence, we can be making a lot of mistakes, and we might be even thinking that the love can be infatuation and not in fact a lasting love. So by having emotional intelligence, we can choose the right partners for us, and this can it can stop having failed relationships, and we don't have to let our conflicting needs and wants to come between two people who really love each other. So, what do I want to say here? When you are coming out of fear of changing when it comes to relationships, you need to inquire what type of growth you would like from the relationship, right? There's lots of problems in relationships, but instead of viewing them as a problem, you need to be able to see the challenges as opportunities, right? You have to be able to find the courage and to show optimism to not to see these things as problems. Why am I saying that? Because that's what it takes to have a high EQ. Right? It's all about problem solving, right? You can find strategic ways to find the differences between you and your partner, right? And these challenges that you can learn how to overcome can make you become closer with your person, right? First and foremost, both parties need to respect the feelings that they have for one another, or not have for one another, the feelings that one feels within the relationship. Sometimes, when you love a person, it has nothing to do with, you can get angry, you can feel disappointed, you can get hurt, you can feel jealous. These things are human nature, but it's just about how you are dealing with them. So how you act upon those types of emotions can be based on how you do things, okay? What's important, right, is that you actually feel what you feel, because there's nothing wrong with feeling emotions, right? The problem with relationships is that a lot of them are run by blaming, and a lot of problems occur because of shame, Okay, and this all comes down to that people are not willing to feel their emotions. So whether that will be their anger, whether they have fear, or whether, you know, they might have anxiety and all that. But if you learn how to build your EQ, what happens is that you'll be able to experience your emotions much more effectively, and you will be able to have an impact on your partner. So, what you need is to first have acceptance, okay? And be able to, how should I say it? Be willing to be open, right, to any surprise that may come through your relationship, right? Because you can be able to improve it, right? But you just need to let go of the expectation, okay? There's no such thing as perfection out there when it comes to relationship, because it's all about putting in the work and understanding where the other person comes from. First and foremost, you need to understand your own emotions before you can understand your partner's emotions. That is very, very, very important. Because if you have emotional debris within you that you have not solved, without understanding, that means subconsciously, you project that onto your partner. And that creates a lot of problems. So there's lots of ways that you can learn to use your EQ if this is something new for you. But I have some tips that I can give you. For example, most important for me is it would be good for you to learn how to acknowledge and let your partner know the feelings that you're feeling, right? If you're going to communicate anything, expressing what you feel is very important, as it defines who you are as a person, right? If you're pretending to be someone or something that you're not, you're never ever going to be able to feel loved by the other person, right? And while expressing your emotions, you are also responsible of listening how your partner is feeling and the way they are responding and the words that they're using. So it's a two-way street. So you say something and they need to be able to express what they're feeling too. And you shouldn't be using blame and judgment, right? You need to listen to the other person because they've got needs also. So showing support and love to your partner is very, very important because they have needs, as I said before, right? So the other person needs comforting, right? And not everyone is the same. So your partner might have different requirements to you, but they also need to be heard in what it is that they want too. So empathy plays a big role here. And if you start to feel that you're not sure of something, or if you see that you're about to get angry and all of these things, or if you feel that you're doubtful, a simple thing to do is just ask more questions, right? Because love never says that you're going to know everything, right? And if you don't ask your person how they feel about something, you're never going to know, right? And another tip for me is that you need to be so mentally prepared to work when it comes to relationship, right? A lot of people fail because they meet people and they believe that just because they met them and they're together, that they found their true love, and then they just stop working on it, right? A relationship cannot grow and thrive if you're not giving it attention, right? Or if you just let it die from neglect. Your partner is there for you to learn things. So they're teaching you things. So it's important to have an active awareness, right? And not rely on your assumptions or perhaps even past situations that you've had in your life. Because everyone is different, right? because there's a lot of things that maybe things that have happened in the past can be quite dangerous when it comes to your current affairs right now, right? Another thing is good is that when you make a mistake, you need to be humble enough to admit that you're making a mistake if you believe you're making a mistake, right? Your relationships are all about trial and error, okay? But when we admit mistakes, that's a great opportunity for you to be able to grow, and people can meet you without having that blame game, right? So in addition, using change as an opportunity to grow in the relationship is very important, okay? And I understand, every change is quite stressful because if you're not used to doing that, but always remember there's an opportunity to renew and to revitalize your relationship. So lots of people talk about, finding the one, when you first fall in love with someone, how would you be able to tell if that person is the one for you? Okay, how do you know whether you're actually in love with that person, right? Or perhaps you might just be in love with the word love, right? How can you avoid repeating mistakes if you're stuck in the same cycle all the time? So how do you get to that point? Well, my number one tip is being able to listen to your body, right? The way it responds, and not your mind. And what do I mean by that? Usually we choose a partner for reasons that have more to do with what we think than how we feel. We conduct our relationships based on how things should be or how they should have been, right? And this is the biggest problem where things go wrong, right? We don't lose our love because we let our emotions run away with us, but because we let our heads run away with us. People think that they're in love for many reasons, right? That might not even be love. It could be lust. It could be infatuation. It could be somebody's desire because they require security. Some people are they think it's love because of status, or even just to be socially accepted, right? And many people think they found true love because the current prospect maybe that they're with, they might fulfill some image or some expectation, right? But unless they know how they feel, their choice is destined to be wrong, right? Because whenever your daydreams of a prospective lover take the form of mental, right, debates, that it's justifying your choice or agonizing over it, you need to learn to breathe and relax and to focus, to get out of your head and check in with your body, right? If there's a feeling that something is wrong and it persists or it grows, okay, the chances are that your choice is probably wrong. Because if you let mental images versus physical sensation guide you, you'll never know what you really want. So take a note of all the messages that come from your entire body, right? For a lot of people, it's quite hard to get clear signals from the body when they meet, when they fall in love or when they meet a new love. Because what happens is that they're so drowned out by their sexual desire, which is why it's important to notice the other subtle feelings. So that could be your muscle tension, migraine, stomach pains, lack of energy. That can show that that's not what you need, right? On the other hand, if the glow of love is accompanied by an increase in energy and you feel alive, this actually could be a real thing. So it's how the other person makes you feel also, right? If it's more than infatuation or lust, right, there will be a benefit in the other parts of your life and in other relationships. So you need to ask yourself a couple of emotional, intelligent questions, let me say, right? For example, what has improved in my life ever since meeting this person? Are you taking a better care of yourself? Is your head much more straighter now? Are you more focused and more creative? Are you perhaps more responsible? right? Do my in love feelings go beyond feeling positive, caring for my partner? Do I feel more generous? Do I feel more giving? Am I feeling more empathetic with my friends, my co-workers, or perhaps with total strangers? Right? If the answers that you get from your body aren't what you want to hear, you need to be able to push beyond the natural fear of loss that we all experience. Okay? Finding out now that you haven't found true love can actually spare you of the pain of a pile of negative emotional memories. And you don't want to be repeating the same mistakes. So, to find the person who is really the one, you need to know the difference between what you can't live without versus what you'd like. So, you need to have within you, and this is so bloody important, okay? And it can make you avoid getting into bad relationships. So, you really need to sit down and think, what is your absolute must in relationship? What qualities or characteristics do you require from a person, right? The most important, whether that be, how should I say it? It's the most necessity stuff that you need that you there's no way you can compromise. You cannot compromise from that. So what are your real needs, right? For example, you might want, your partner to be emotionally open. You might want them to be protective. You might want them to be great at conversations. You might want them to be affectionate. These are some traits that you might have quite high, which you can't do with anything else, right? So that's your number one. So if anybody comes in your space that doesn't have, for example, the 5 qualities that you're looking for, you can not give any more into that relationship because you're wasting your time, and it's going to end up being a hurtful relationship. Sure, we can't have everything that we want, but you need to understand that if those top priority needs that you need are not going to be met, it's not going to have a good outcome, right? So that is very, very important. So, and another thing to know, like, not everyone will be able to grow an emotional muscle at the same rate that you do, okay? Perhaps you might be ahead of the person that you love, right? But you need to have an intelligent way to respond to your partner that might be a bit lower than you. You've got to be a good listener, right? Because you need to take time to consider feelings as well as the words that you want your partner to hear. If you're not clear from the beginning about what you need and why you need it, your message can get mixed up when it's trying to get there, right? And always try to choose a time that you guys are not going to be rushed, or you might not have any hassles, Perhaps, maybe taking a walk together or going to sit somewhere that you can be able to make a discussion, right? And it's always good to be talking using the I, right? Don't say you, that you're going to blatantly go to your partner and just start putting blame. You need to address it because it's coming from you. It's I feel, right? And when you say I feel, it's talking about your needs, how you are feeling, right? And you want your partner to hear how you are feeling, not how you think he's thinking or abusing him or talking, very reactively, So you could say, I feel like going out for dinner much more often, but I don't like this and this and this and this, right? So it's about you. It's not about him, right? If you see that your partner can react defensively to the feelings that you expressed, you need to repeat their concerns. For example, say something happens, right? And you might say, you're afraid that if I do this and this, we're not going to get this done. So find a way to repeat what is concerning them. So what reply they're giving. So you can acknowledge what they're feeling. Right? And then you can repeat how you're feeling, and then listen again to your partner and keep the process until you are satisfied with what you heard.